Here we go. Here we go.
Hello once again, this is the Arun Mehta Show. It is the 28th of October 2015. Thank you very much for checking out the show. This is the 19th anniversary of Hey Arnold, and it is our 5th Craig Bartlett interview. We've also got all your fan questions here as well. So joining us once again on the Arun Mehta Show, welcome back everybody, Craig Bartlett. Craig, how's it going?
Hi, good. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, and you're calling us from the offices of Ready, Jet, Go, I believe.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Here in Glendale, California.
Yeah, tell you what, do you want to tell us a bit about the show? You know, just promote what you're doing?
Sure. Yeah, the Ready, Jet, Go is the second series that I'm doing for PBS because I've been doing Dinosaur Train for them since about 2007, 2008. I think we went on TV in 2009, and we've made 89 half hours of Dinosaur Train. But we are now making 40 half hours of Ready, Jet, Go, which is 80 11-minute episodes. And we started production last August 2014, and we will continue to work on this into the end of 2016. But we go on TV with our first 15 half hours of it, President's Day 2016. That's February 15th, I think. And, yeah, PBS.
Cool. That sounds really exciting. And,
yeah.
As someone who was...
A kid's first space show. That's what Jet is. It's basically all the PBS kids shows have some kind of curriculum. And so Dinosaurs is the curriculum of Dinosaur Train, and space. Astronomy, Earth Science is the curriculum for Ready, Jet, Go.
As someone who really admires Jodrell Bank, which is down the road from where I am in Cheshire, I have to say it's it sounds really exciting. I've always been fascinated with space from a very young age. Yeah. Okay.
It's really lucky. You do the curriculum stuff, and people ask, well, isn't that kind of a drag to have to put curriculum on everything? The truth is, if it's something you love, something you're interested in, it's the best. And knowing that you're doing something that kids are going to learn, it'll be their first show about it, and this will be a kid's first chance to learn about space, is really fun. So I'm totally enjoying it. It's a blast.
I mean, it's the final frontier, isn't it? So it's like, it's got to be fascinating for children, hasn't it? So
yeah. And the nice thing too is, I don't know if you know this, but all of NASA, all of their images, all of the footage that they make, that when they shoot stuff out in space, and they make a lot of computer generated images now, especially now as they put together their proposals. They'll have computer animation artists make artists interpretations of like what it's going to be like when the lander lands on Mars. All that stuff is in the public domain because NASA is an ORG, a publicly funded company. So we get to use all that footage in our show. So I really, really like that. Our show is going to have all this truly awesome space footage thanks to NASA.
That's awesome.
We would not be able to do it if that wasn't the case. But so we all have that to look forward to.
I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to. I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to when man lands on Mars. And the amount of TV hype that's going to generate, it's like that's
no kidding.
Yeah,
that's true. And that's now we have Mars to look forward to, and I'm hoping, I want the next generation of kids that grow up on Ready, Jet, Go to be really informed about why we go to space.
Yeah, unless it turns into Total Recall, and then we're really in trouble. But
yeah, I know. It's difficult. Yeah. We haven't figured it out yet. Even now, we aren't truly ready to send people to Mars because we haven't figured out the radiation problem, the solar radiation that we're protected from on Earth because we have this big magnetic shield once you get out to Mars, you just be getting blasted with solar radiation, and it's lethal. And we haven't figured it out yet, so there are some problems to solve.
Yeah. Well, that's Ready, Jet, Go coming out on PBS. It's going to sound very exciting, but we all know why we're here today. Hey Arnold, a 19th anniversary, 1 year off the big 2-0. That's going to be absolutely big. And and once again, we've got fans asking questions, all sorts of questions, and so I'm going to put them to yourself. So, Craig, are you ready for the first one?
Yeah, let's answer some questions.
Okay, then. First one is from David Cakes. He asks, when you first designed Hey Arnold for Nickelodeon, did you realize how many people would think Arnold is wearing either a skirt or a kilt?
No, I did not realize that, and it ended up being kind of a thing. We had to do a lot of jokes about it. When we finally just did in Cool Party, Arnold literally says to Rhonda, "It's not a skirt, Rhonda," and he pulls his sweater up and says, "See, it's my shirt tails." And because honestly, I wanted to. By the time we got to Cool Party, I was getting kind of meta and trying to make shows that it literally answered fans' questions. But I was just trying to do that sort of layered Pacific Northwest grunge look that I favor. I like to wear flannel shirts with the tails poking out under a sweater, and so I was simply trying to do that. And I did not realize that I would have to do all that explaining.
Okay, next question. Christian Henderson and a Twitter user called Seether asked this question. Where did you get the design and the inspiration for the old Engine 25 in the Haunted Train episode?
Well, that's a great question. We knew we wanted to do a haunted train. We were deep into in the first season. We were deep into the urban legends, and so we thought a haunted train would be great. And as I remember, Tuck Tucker, our board supervisor, and who storyboarded that episode. That's a Tuck board. Tuck did a lot of research, and in the early days of being able to Google through the internet for images, I remember he found did a lot of research and looked up a bunch of cool old steam engines, and I remember him showing me the ones the engine that he picked and said, "How about this one?" And I was like, "Oh, that'd be fantastic." That episode's very fetishy when the train comes in finally. I think you're about 2/3 of the way through the show, and they just go Engine 25, and it comes in. There's these great close-ups of just like parts of the engine going psh, and steam coming out. That's really a cool episode.
Yeah, I just love
and creepy.
Yeah,
it's scary.
I just loved how Dan Castellaneta basically introduced it to us, and it's like, and the story of the haunted train. It's like,
yeah, isn't that the best? It's funny. Like we traditionally we had Jamil, Gerald tell the urban legends, but that was a Grandpa one, and it was great. He's a blast. He's so funny. He really knows how to ham it up.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Dalton Robinson asks, why did Jamil Walker Smith get a tonsils episode, but not Torrin Caldwell or Philip Van Dyke?
Yeah, I'm sure Torrin and Philip are asking that same question. Yeah, no. Well, here's the deal. The Arnold sound that I was always going for was an innocent, kind of husky voiced boy who has not turned into a teenager yet. He needed to sound younger than that, and so when the Arnold voice, each of the Arnold actors, when their voice cracked, they just sounded too old to me. And Jamil, same thing was happening to him. He was cracking and sounding older, but somehow his wasn't about sounding young. It was more about sounding like Gerald. And we considered recasting, and I just was not meeting any other kid who I thought could do what Jamil could do. And so then I was like, man, what am I going to do? We pitched him up for a while, and that wasn't that satisfactory. And so I thought, again, very meta, like, why don't we just make an episode about the fact that Gerald's voice is changing? and it was like, I had definitely by then considered recasting and getting another kid, but I did not like any of the choices that I had. And so Arnold literally says at the end, he goes, "Gerald, your voice may have changed, but you're still Gerald." And so that was meant to be like, hey, this happens. And Yeah, I just didn't want to get rid of Jamil.
Yeah.
He was just too good.
Do you know what was funny? 'Cause, like, we did a joke actually about. I don't know if you know, we had Jamil Walker-Smith on the show a couple of months back.
Oh, you did? I did not know that. That's
Yeah.
great. I'll go back and listen to it.
Yeah, and basically he actually does. If you turn up, actually played around in Adobe Audition with his voice, and if you turn his pitch up a little higher, he does actually still sound like Gerald Johansson. It's
Wow.
it's astounding. So yeah,
Well, that's good to know. I'll go back and listen to that.
Okay, next question. Alex Hollis asks, who is Arnold's other side of the family? So basically the side where he got his name from, Stella's side of the family.
Yeah, that's right. When Arnold's born and she says his name is Arnold, and she says it was her dad's name. It is true that it implies a whole other family that we just never got to. You know, I haven't even thought about like who's on Stella's side. There's enough characters to deal with just on Grandpa and Grandma's side that I have no idea. I suppose we could eventually meet those people.
Do you think they're probably saner than Miles' side of the family?
Yeah, and then so Arnold comes down the line from Grandpa to Miles to Arnold, and we know that much. So, but that's all we know so far. That Miles is Pookie and Phil's kid.
Yeah. Jamie Myers asks, can you ask him about the rumours surrounding Pigeon Man and that he was supposed to commit suicide in the original ending of the episode? Because that theory really needs to go away.
No, you know what really bothers me about that? Because that really does bother me. What bothers me is that the stuff that people make a theory, they put it on the internet, and then after a while it's just assumed to be true just because it's on the internet, and it's really getting kind of ridiculous how much rumor is on the internet that doesn't have any fact and just continues to just persist, and it bugs me because it almost doesn't even matter what I say. I posted a picture of Pigeon Man on my Facebook page this year, and it was just one of those setups from the end of the show when he's flying away on the pigeons, and somebody made a comment that, oh, that was a suicide show, and I answered in the comment section, no, it's not a suicide show. I know because I was there, and I didn't write it. Joe Purdy wrote it, but when we were finishing that script together, nobody had any intention that he was committing suicide. He hooks up those birds and flies away. And actually, I had always imagined doing a sequel where he's in Paris, with helping a bunch of pigeons in Paris, just because I thought that would be funny for him to be there somewhere kind of a little bit more glamorous. And I think I'm still going to do that. And I what's weird is that I posted that, and that should be that, right? I mean,
yeah.
I was there. It's my show. And yet the whoever that was just kept commenting like, well, I don't know why Craig's saying that. It's obviously a suicide show. So you know what I mean? It doesn't even matter what I say. People still think what they're going to think, which is a little bit absurd. That's kind of crazy. Both that rumors that aren't true somehow become fact because they exist on the internet, and also the rudeness of people online to go ahead and just say, no, I don't believe you. I mean, why aren't people more polite online? I don't really understand.
Because I'll tell you why. Because it's a I'm trying to find the best way to describe it. It's basically it's a power trip. So basically, they go online and they probably see like people like myself is like, here's Aaron of the Arun Mehta show, and they'll put in a snide comment saying, oh well, he's this, he's that, and stuff like that. And even though I correct it like 10 or 15 times, it's like, nope, you're still this, you're still that. It's a power trip. It's like it really is.
So that seems to be the world we're living in. And all I can say is if people want to know the answer to these questions, they can ask me like you're doing right now, and I'll tell you how it was.
Yeah.
Very recently, some internet series that's from MTV networks, and it was 106 facts about Hey Arnold, and so I flipped through and watched the 106 facts. It's actually a video told by this guy, and I have to say, about 2/3 of them were true, and about 1/3 of them were absolutely not true. And it was weird because he would kind of get on a series of things. When he did Pigeon Man, he did about like 5 little facts in a row, none of which were true. In his thing, he said, we had this idea that he jumped off the building and died, that the network saw that and said, you can't. And so then we had to change it into this ending. None of that happened. I mean, we never thought that he committed suicide. What happened was Harold and Stinky and Sid, or Joey actually, came up there and tore down his stuff. He was really disappointed and wanted to leave this town because he was just so sick of, stuff like that happening. And he hooks up all of his pigeons and flies away. Arnold says, where are you going? He says, I'm going to go to another place where I can help pigeons. And he does a speech that's basically a kind of a ripoff of the speech that Tom Joad gives at the end of The Grapes of Wrath, where, where there's a bird somewhere, with a broken wing, I'll be there. That's basically like what Tom Joad says at the end of the thing. He doesn't die. He goes away to go help other pigeons. So I'm really annoyed that the guy who did that, whatever that was, 106 facts about Hey Arnold, why didn't he just get a hold of me? What happened to fact checking? Why didn't he knows how to find me. Why didn't he call me up and say,
I got to be honest
I've got
with you,
106 facts. Do you want to tell me if these are true? I would have set them straight. But anyway,
I'll tell you why he probably didn't do that.
Act like it's true.
Yeah, I'll tell you why he probably didn't do that, because he's he's got like, comment, and subscribe, and basically that's what's focused on his mind, not the facts. Okay, then.
Anyway, so I mean, that one's just sort of a sore spot with me because it doesn't even matter what I say, and people continue to persist with that kind of weird theory stuff. And I think the darker the better for people too, like, oh, it's about suicide, and oh, they wouldn't let him do it. It was so terrible that they did, that they made him stop. That seems to be more appealing than the actual truth.
Yeah. Let's move on to that. Obviously, we have angered the Hey Arnold god here. Okay, Nancy Geronimo Graber, she asks, what's the deal with Brainy? Why does he love Helga, and does he know that Helga loves Arnold?
Well, he certainly knows that Helga loves Arnold because ever since they were preschoolers, he's basically, hung out behind her listening to her monologue about how much she loves Arnold. So, yeah, he does know. And the deal with Brainy is he's kind of a supernatural character. He's kind of always there in the most unlikely places. And I even got kind of meta about that, too, like on Helga on the Couch when she finishes and she comes out of the therapy session and goes into the alley and gets her locket out, and he's there, and she goes, "What's the deal? Were you waiting here for me?" So she even asks him, like, point blank, like, "How come you're so weird?" And I always thought Brainy was a kind of a supernatural character, and possibly even Helga's imagination is so powerful that she literally made him. She's a figment of her imagination that the other kids can even see. I don't know though. I think he's real. He's a real guy. He loves her. And he understands her. And in his mind, he gets that she's meant for Arnold, and he loves her anyway.
Yeah. Okay, next question. This one's from Anonymous. Now, we did get a few anonymous questions, but I thought they were good enough, so I put them in anyway. What does Gerald make of Arnold and Helga? Because at the end of the movie, he seems to overhear Helga take back her confession.
Well, at the end of the movie, let's see. No, he was sort of conveniently out of frame. We basically had him sort of be somewhere else at the moment that they had that scene. But I would say that Gerald's a pretty smart guy, and he's pretty savvy, and I imagine he has a pretty good idea what's going on. That's a fun area for me to explore. I kind of want to continue along those lines of Gerald kind of understanding Helga more and more, and their understanding of each other. I think it's really funny. So yeah, I mean he may not know everything, but he's kind of figuring it out. He's not in on it yet. I'll put it that way.
I can imagine Gerald's like, That's a sick boy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Next one is also an anonymous question. What do you think of the theory that Grandpa, and Grandma might actually be Arnold's parents?
I don't know. Haven't we met Arnold's parents several times? That seems a little absurd.
Yeah.
Is that like urban legend that Arnold's the reason he has the weird shaped head is because Grandma and Grandpa are his parents?
Yeah.
That's another one of those where I'm kind of amazed that, first of all, whoever came up with that, it was part of a whole thing where I stole the whole idea for Hey Arnold from some guy that I met somewhere. I mean, it's like, that's the weirdest. I mean, why why people come up with that stuff. It's like, fine, if you want to make up that stuff, that's fine, but don't you think that's a little bit rude to me since I did all the work of coming up with Hey Arnold? I'm kind of amazed at how this stuff appears on the internet and then it's supposed to be true. They're not really taking my feelings into consideration, that's for sure.
Oh, no feelings are taken into consideration when it comes to internet rumors.
Yeah,
no,
so
of course
anyway,
not.
no, Arnold, we've met Arnold's parents. In fact, we were there, we saw when he was born, so I don't think Grandma and Grandpa are Arnold's parents.
Yeah. Okay, next question. Joshua Molinando asks, what were your final thoughts on the last episode when it finished production?
Well, the last one we finished was The Journal. And, well, at the end of the production of The Journal, it was a really sad time around there because we knew that we were going to, by then about most of the crew had finished and we were down to a smaller version of our crew. And we knew that we were kind of on hold at that point. We didn't know if we'd make the Jungle movie or not with Paramount. And so we were in a kind of a limbo, so that we were pretty unhappy. And also the Journal, at that point, it was just a few of us. Raimi and Tuck and some of the board artists were still there. And then Joe Purdy and Michelle Lamoureux and I wrote The Journal. And there was something kind of funny about it. It was sort of like gallows humor, where you're laughing and joking because you think this might be the end. And so The Journal has a kind of a jokey, kind of smart-ass vibe to it, where it's you're flipping back and forth between these really kind of real scenes between mom and dad, and in the jungle, and they're kind of having their sort of swashbuckling adventure and being do-gooders and saving the day. And that was the whole reason that I did The Journal, was so that it was meant to be a prequel for the Jungle movie that would set up that his parents were really great. They were super good people doing all these good things, and so that you would not blame them for leaving Arnold. And so we were doing that stuff, and then it sort of flips back and forth between that really sincere stuff and the really, really silly stuff at the boarding house where Grandma and Grandpa and Arnold are reading The Journal. And it's nuts. I mean, they send out for Chinese food. Grandpa keeps going to the bathroom every act break. Grandma's like standing on her head and, I don't know, eating beans, and just like crazy stuff's going on. And so it's got a weird kind of smart ass vibe that was really me going, I don't even know if we're going to make the Jungle movie. I can't tell what's going to happen next. And so how about we make all this stuff happen that is like, I'm daring Paramount not to make the Jungle movie. I'll have him find a map, and that'll be the very last thing you see. So it was a little irresponsible on my part. I was just like, well, this might be the end, and that was the way I was writing.
Hey, it inspired a lot of people. It inspired me, so maybe it wasn't such a bad ending, if it inspired all this stuff.
Yeah, it's true. It's when you think about that, when I hear how people feel about that episode, then I don't feel so bad because people really enjoyed it. So, it's a really powerful medium, TV. A lot of people see it, and it really affects people. So, I'm glad. I just makes me realize now that I have the benefit of hindsight, that I just need to be as responsible in my storytelling as I can, and not just always be aware that it's going to affect people.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. Nicole McGuigan. I hope I pronounced that correctly. What would Helga be like as a teenager, and would she have a softer side?
Yeah, I think so. I think as Helga gets older and she matures, I think she gets a little bit more control of herself, and becomes a little more aware of her actions. Because one of the things that's funny about Helga is that she's always getting, it's like karma. She's always getting some kind of karma payback for her misbehaving, and she kind of is stubborn. She keeps doing terrible things in spite of the fact that she should know better. And so I would just kind of as a teenager, I'd make her kind of in the process of figuring that out and learning how to know better. But still, teenage years are tough. Teenagers are incredibly turbulent. So I would imagine she'd still be acting out. She's pretty tough. She's a tough kid.
Yeah. Do you think she'd go for a goth phase?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you think she'd go for a goth phase?
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay, next question. Zach Lane asks, on the possibility of Rugrats and Hey Arnold being resurrected by Nickelodeon, if Hey Arnold gets renewed for more seasons, would you rewrite some of the leftover episodes that didn't get produced and incorporate them into the new run?
Oh, yeah, it's funny. Joe Purdy and I were just looking through. He had saved hard copies of all of our premises, all of our story ideas. Like we would make these lists of show ideas over the years. I mean, his pile of episodes covered about 6 years of us coming up with ideas. And I said, did you find the ones that we pitched at the very end when we ended up doing April Fools in the Journal? And he didn't. And I remember there was another urban legend in there that I really wanted to do, which he couldn't find, and I can't find it either. But anyway, yeah, there's a few of all the stuff that. But one of the things that's kind of funny about the 100 half hours of Hey Arnold, 103, I guess, half hours of Hey Arnold, was we ultimately ended up doing almost all the shows we wanted to do. That sooner or later, even a story that would get shot down by the network in season 1 and season 2, by the time season 4 or 5 came along, I finally ended up doing all of them. Like Monkey Man was one that I wanted to make forever, and Helga on the Couch too. So they finally all kind of had their time. But yeah, totally. There's a couple of episodes knocking around that we never made that I would totally dust off and do it. It's cool. It's like it's a reimagining anyway, you know. It's so much time has gone by that it's a kind of a fresh look at it no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, what about the Rugrats as well? I mean, I looked at how many episodes they've done, also 3 movies as well. You know, it's like, has everything possibly now been done with the Rugrats, do you reckon?
That's a really good question. As the years go by and you make all these premises, you're trying not to repeat yourself, and so it's hard. I remember us thinking as we got to seasons like 4 and 5, all of us agreeing it was really hard to come up with good Arnold episodes. It was easier to come up with Helga ones because she's more active and she's more of a troublemaker, and Arnold he's a good guy, and so the stories that would be Arnold episodes would be generally something happened that wasn't his fault, and he was kind of stuck trying to make it better, and so we felt like we were having a hard time coming up with more Arnold stuff. And so now, you know, it's so much later now that I don't know. I would basically sit down with the writers and go, okay, here's the world. What are we going to do?
Yeah. Okay, this question is from Jessica Ness and Lanika Vera. They unite to ask this question. Will Hey Arnold be resurrected and the Jungle movie come back in 2016?
Well, that's getting right to it. Well, I would say 2016 is probably it's hard to say how long it'll take us to do this. We're really, you know, we are in earnest trying to get Arnold rebooted, but it's still early for me to give any details about what it's going to be and where it's going to go. I feel like until I really have a premiere date and I know that it's going to be on TV and I can say, look, on this date this is going to happen, I don't want to say specifically. And also, even then, even if I knew, like we premiere and 2016, you know, the project that we're working on is gonna take a lot of doing, and it's really kind of more than just one thing. It's complicated, and we're trying to do we're trying to tell a lot of story, and I feel like it will probably not even be done by 2016. That's all I can say. And okay. I only say that because these things take a long time. And one of the things that's funny is, and I read the comments of fans who are like, well, where's my Jungle movie? You know, on my side of things, that stuff takes a long time. It takes a long time to I've been meeting with Nickelodeon about this now for 3 years. And we've been talking about it for a long time. It takes a long time to even come to an agreement about what it would be, and then it takes a long time to make the deal, and then, by the way, the deal's done. And then it takes a long time to say what exactly we're going to make and when. And things are even more corporate now than they used to be at Nickelodeon, and so they like to do it one step at a time and see if this is okay and get that approved, move to the next step. So, I don't have any dates.
No. Well, you don't have any dates, but in regards to where we
I
are,
wouldn't say this is what's going to happen, because I'd like people to be surprised by the story.
Okay, well, I mean, I know you can't go into any dates or anything like that, but right now the situation is Nickelodeon does want to bring back Hey Arnold, and Nickelodeon does want to bring back the Jungle Movie. However, they want specifics about how it's all going to work. Is that basically where we are?
Yeah, exactly. These are things that we have to. It takes a lot of people to be in on it, and for them to agree about how it's going to proceed. So that's what's going on. I'm back at Nickelodeon. We're working on it. We're trying to make it go, and it's great to. There's a really cool vibe about it, because Nickelodeon now, I'd say about a third of the people that work there, grew up on the '90s shows, and so I've got a lot of Hey Arnold fans that are now working professionals at Nickelodeon, and they're super stoked about it. So it's a great thing. It's really we're in a really good place.
Well, I'll tell you what, Craig. I mean, if you do mention a date and you say 2020, I'm game. Because at least I'll know. At least I know until then.
And I would even pick a date, except even that seems random, because I don't know. Maybe we'll be faster. Maybe we'll be slower.
Well,
but I'm trying to move this giant boulder up a hill.
Yeah. Well, I know it's going to be good, because
who knows.
The
important thing is that we're working on it.
Yeah. Well, the reason I say that is because The Incredibles 2 is going to be coming out either 2018, 2019, and then that indicates to me, there's effort being put into this. If they turn around, to be honest with you, you're looking at that question, and if they're saying, if you turn around and said, it's going to come out in 2016, I'd be like, well, where's the? I mean, is that how long it really takes to put together the movie that's in my mind? I mean, it's like, anyway, we'll leave it at that at the meantime. But I'll ask the next question. I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to try my best pronouncing this name. Ikrem Ayetekin, I hope I pronounced that correctly, it asks, could Hey Arnold return as either the Patakis or an all-grown-up like TV series? So basically when they're teenagers.
Oh, well, that is not the direction that the development is going now, but, life is long. There could finally be a Pataki someday. Yeah. I like I say, I enjoyed. It's been fun imagining Helga as a teenager. So maybe sooner or later that time will happen.
I don't know. It's like I know Rugrats also did All Grown Up, and it's kind of so in a way it feels like it's been done already. I mean, so it's kind of like
I know what you mean.
Yeah. Okay then.
It might be fun to do it like we did Married, where. You briefly, like in a dream or something, you briefly see them as teenagers. That might be a fun way to do it.
Yeah, like a one-off episode where it's kind of like Saved by the Bell, kind of like version of like Hey Arnold, something like that. Maybe something like that.
Right.
Maybe I don't know. Okay, I'll move on to the next question. Elena Barker asks, a lot of shows from the 90s tend not to age well, but Hey Arnold remains timeless. Why do you think Hey Arnold still holds up and resonates with fans to this day?
That's a nice thank you, Eleanor, for that comment. I don't know. I mean, I kind of figured that the nature of Hey Arnold that made it different from the other cartoons is maybe why it resonates still and it seems more timeless. The reason that it was different from the other shows was we were going for a kind of a darker. It wasn't just like really kind of bright, in-your-face comedy. It was much darker and more layered than that, and we were trying to make the show about childhood in some layers of childhood that cartoons don't usually go for. And I really was influenced by Charlie Brown, because I thought one of the things I liked about Charlie Brown was how much of it was about that Charlie Brown was kind of an unhappy, like depressed kid, and Arnold's not like unhappy, but he's pretty blue, and there's some big holes in his life, his missing parents, and the reasons that he's always kind of trying to help people and be a do-gooder seems to be because he's kind of compensating for the darkness in his life. And that was what we went for. And we had these really cool kid actors who they had the chops to do that. They could deliver that stuff, and the writers all agreed. It was when we started, it was me and Joe Insalvahair and Steve Vixton. The three of us agreed that a lot of childhood is is kind of unhappy, and you're kind of powerless as a child, and you're just doing your best. And so that was the way we wrote it, and we had the great music that Lang did to kind of help sell that mood, and we had really good artists that agreed with me that the way to draw it was like very detailed and kind of realistic, and really the style of the storytelling was more like, we said, it was more like a single camera, after school special than a sitcom, and certainly not kind of wacky and in your face like a lot of the other cartoons that were being made at the time. And so we were going for a more serious thing, and maybe that resonated with kids. Maybe when they were watching it, they said, this is a little bit more like my actual life. And therefore, Helga, my God, Helga, what a powerful character. She's really super intense character that I think a lot of little girls were like, oh yeah, that's me. I'm more like Helga than like Arnold. I have a darker side, and I'm more angry and more bitter, and more I act out on my anger more than Arnold does. And so kids identified with the characters, and then they grew up and they went, hey, I still like this. It is cool. I love the fact that a lot of what seems to be driving this Arnold renaissance right now is the fact that the people are between like 20 and 30 that grew up on it, and they want to see more. They want to see the thing come to some kind of conclusion.
And also now their kids are watching it.
Yeah, it's great. How cool is that? Cartoons are great because if you make them so they're evergreen and they can go on and on, then another generation of cartoon watchers is born every minute. So
yeah. I think it's just, the effort that went into cartoons, between the 80s and the 90s. I mean, it's like, I remember a couple of years ago when I was sat down with my little brother, and he, I remember back in 89, 90, and I was watching Transformers, and when I was watching, Optimus Prime throw like an ocean liner on top of Megatron, and then a couple of years later, he's the same age as I was. And then he's, we're watching the same cartoon of Optimus Prime throwing an ocean liner on top of Megatron in the same cartoon. It's it's amazing how these generations just bridge like that.
It is cool. Yeah. And how fun is that? Like, one of the things that's fun about being a parent and raising kids is like when you realize your kids think the music that you loved as a kid, they love it too, and it's somehow validating. It makes you feel like, yeah, my choices that I made were good ones. So I love the idea of young parents with little kids getting the complete Hey Arnold series and showing it to their kids, and then getting that validation of their kids liking it. That's no wonder. It's cool.
I think Bryan Adams wish he had that effect in music, but no, I like Bryan Adams. Don't worry about it. Cheap joke. Okay, next question from Anonymous. Are you a fan of Steven Universe?
I know all those. There's a great new generation of cartoons that are happening on Cartoon Network that I barely have seen them, and Steven Universe is one of them. Like, they're cool looking. I love the design of those shows. They remind me a little bit of Hey Arnold in that they are featuring people and they're about relationships. So I'm glad that stuff is happening, but I confess that I'm watching almost no TV these days.
I tell you what, Craig,
I don't follow any shows right now because right now I'm just working. That's all I'm doing.
It is amazing actually looking at this, Craig, because I feel like there seems to be like this revelation that seems to have gone on, because we've had Steven Universe, which has come to a massive amount of fame. Rick and Morty is a brilliant Adult Swim after a load of loads of cruddy shows that Adult Swim have put out. Mr. Pickles, I'll never understand, and also I'm thinking of other ones that Gravity Falls, which Doug Walker, the nostalgia critic, right now is doing a vlog of. It's like these cartoon shows that now would have actually fit if they came out in 1996 alongside like Hey Arnold and Doug and Rugrats and things like that, and they actually are. Not only the kids want to talk about them, but the adults want to talk about them as well. They actually are. Yeah. We actually seem to be entering into a good time of animation at the moment. So
it does. It's a really good time for a new cartoon series right now. I think it's as hard as ever to get a series picked up. It's really, really, really hard to get the networks to pull the trigger. and start your show. But once the show gets on TV, they seem to be they're really cool. And I agree. I think people are trying to make stories, or trying to make stuff about character, and they're trying to make stuff about relationships. So I'm glad that stuff's out there, even though I haven't been watching it. I'm glad for them.
Do you
really
think
cool.
though the Patreon, GoFundMe generation, do you think that might also have an effect? The same way. Not obviously the television will always have a giant audience, but in regards to getting stuff made, obviously we with Patreon and GoFundMe and like all these like crowdfunding projects that are going on. SWAT Cats right now are trying to be rebooted in that fashion. I mean, do you think that has will have an effect on the animation industry and what goes on and basically what gets made?
I guess so. I think that the most important thing about more stuff and more diverse and better stuff getting made is how democratic the tools of cartoon making has become. Like, you really can have people making webisodes out of their house, and so the crowdfunding stuff sort of goes along with that, where people go, I have an idea for a show. I can't get a big network to go for it, but I want to make it anyway. And so there's a lot of that going on, where people are just starting. They'll make a little short, and then sometimes they can grow it into a series that's on TV because they just sort of slowly build an audience for it independently, which I love. I mean, in a perfect world, I wouldn't even have to worry about networks, and I would just make my own stuff on computers at home and put it up on a website and be like, hey, here's my cartoon. But I'm still not there. Somehow I'm still in the world of like a job where I agree to do something, I make a deal, it takes forever. We finally have a deal. They make a huge order, and then for years I'm making a cartoon for a living. So I'm still in that traditional job, work for money world. And maybe someday, I kind of hope maybe after this round of these projects that I've got going right now, when all of them are done, maybe I'll go to that place. I can't tell though, because every time I finish a long-running thing, the next one has begun. The Nickelodeon stuff has heated up slowly, very slowly, while I've been doing first, years and years of Dinosaur Train for PBS, and now I'm in the middle of another huge order of Ready, Jet, Go. So it just sort of has that quality. And I can't really control that. I just try to get something started. It takes forever, and by the time it goes, I'm usually doing something else. And so there's really an interesting bunch of overlap going on. This is the biggest year ever. I've never had a year like this. 2015's been crazy. So many episodes will get made this year. It's hilarious.
The fact that I've gone through like 3 jobs, and the fact that I've gone through so much, and also the fact that the show's now starting to grow. I ended up at Comic-Con last week. I mean, it's amazing how obviously how busy the 2015 has been, and it makes you wonder what 2016 is going to bring. So it should be good. It's funny too. People, that's the other thing about people and politeness on the internet. When people make these comments like, "Why don't you just? Where's my Jungle movie?" Like it's sort of like, actually, I got to take care of a bunch of other stuff first. Yeah, going back in 2020. Okay. All right. The next question. Edward Magrigal asks, "What's your favorite live-action or cartoon show currently on the air?"
Oh, favorite live-action show on the air right now? Wow. Because I'm really, like I say, I'm really not watching any TV at all right now. I don't know. God, on both of those, both cartoon and live-action, I'm aware of these shows on TV right now, but I am not watching them. So the answer is
have you stopped?
none.
Are you still watching The Daily Show or?
Yeah, Daily Show and Colbert Report were my thing, and then this was the year where both those guys stepped down. I'm glad that Colbert has gotten the Late Show. I don't think it's quite as charming as the Colbert Report, and I don't blame him, because he's now in a much more sort of set, talk show format where he's got to have a music act every night, and he's got to interview an actress or an actor or whatever. And so he has to be a lot more kind of like old school, like Letterman now. And it couldn't happen to a cooler guy. I mean, he's really, really a funny and cool guy, and I really love him.
Yeah.
I would love to be interviewed by Colbert someday. But and I'm sorry that I didn't get to when Jon Stewart retired. I thought, oh man, that would have been so great to have gone on the Daily Show. But I'm sure a lot really have that fantasy.
Yeah.
But with those guys stepping down, I was like, well, it's two less things I have to even worry about. And I really, I know the Daily Show goes on. It's still a really great show.
Well,
but
I'm
really not watching any TV right now.
Yeah, I'm sort of in the same boat. I mean, I've only just picked up Halo 5 Guardians, so I've only just started playing video games again, and that's been like months since I've people on Xbox Live have been saying, "Oh, you still here?" It's like it's crazy. And okay, so we'll move on to the final question, which I've got here. It's from Kirby Rose Parker. She wants to know, I would love to know some of Craig's favorite music bands and artists.
So my favorite people who make music.
Yeah.
Well, I have so many. I really love so many kinds of music, and I find myself I'm not just like TV. I'm not listening to brand new stuff that's coming out. I tend to be more like just really glad that there's a whole century of recorded music that I can kind of dive back into and listen to and go way back. I listen to a lot of music that's like more than 50 years old. I listen to like Louis Armstrong and stuff from the 20s and 30s. And a lot of vintage jazz I really like, because the vintage jazz is really warm and funny. I've been kind of getting into more New Orleans jazz recently. I like when you talk about New Orleans, people like Alan Toussaint and Professor Longhair and Dr. John, and these guys are all really old now, but they you listen to their music, it's really timeless and fantastic. And if you talk about the classic vintage music, Duke Ellington, Lionel Hampton, Jelly Roll Morton, Louis, Count Basie, Fats Waller. I mean, there's so many great old guys. And then in more kind of contemporary stuff, I'm a big fan of Elliott Smith, because Elliott is a guy that lived for a long time in Portland, and to me he really personifies the kind of Pacific Northwest, slightly depressed, melancholy singer-songwriter thing. And I'm also a big fan of Kurt Cobain, because he too, he grew up he was born in Aberdeen, Washington, so he had a small town Washington ass-kicking teenage years, not unlike my small town Washington. Once I was a teenager, we moved from Seattle to the little town of Anacortes, where I went to high school, and that was kind of an ass-kicking town when I was a kid. And so I find Kurt Cobain's experience to be super relatable. I feel like both Elliott Smith and Kurt Cobain are like soul brothers of mine, even though I bet Kurt wouldn't have really liked me. But by the way, Kurt's documentary called Montage of Heck, have you heard of that?
No, actually I haven't.
HBO put it out this year, and it also has been released theatrically. Kurt Cobain, Montage of Heck is the name of the doc, and it is brilliant. It has these animated sequences that are absolutely amazing, and they took his the guy who made the film, the documentarian who made the film, had access to all of Kurt's archives, all of his notebooks and drawings, and he animated them in a really brilliant way.
Oh, wow.
To Kurt's music, and the music's great too. They have a ton of old weird mixtapes that he had made, and just funky stuff he'd made in the house. And so that's playing, and the notebooks are animating just like ballpoint pen drawings on like lined notebook paper. And it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah. And also there's several sequences in there that are Kurt on tape narrating about being a teenager, and they're fully animated, and they're really gorgeous, and they're so evocative. They make me think of my teenage years in rural Washington. in a way that just absolutely blows my mind. This is the coolest thing I've seen in a long time. So I really like I continue to like Kurt and Nirvana even after all this time. And then I mean, besides that, I love like when I like to when I'm just playing and singing. I like to play Beatles. I like Dylan. I like Neil Young. I like anything like that that's sort of like you just playing a guitar and singing. I like that kind of stuff. So I have a huge I'm fond of so many different musicians and so many different kind of music. I like Harry Nilsson. I kind of went on a Harry Nilsson kick for a while where I almost listened to nothing but Harry Nilsson for a while. So it just it just goes on and on. There's so much stuff out there. There's a million really great players and I know there's a bunch of stuff going on in contemporary music that I'm not even aware of, but sooner or later it'll filter down and it'll find me.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, there's 3 animations that I've always loved in music, and that was the Pink Floyd "Empty Spaces" song with the whole plants and everything, and then going into the whole.
Oh yeah,
thing.
I love Pink Floyd.
Yeah, then there was.
I love that Gilmore is still out there doing stuff. He's great.
Yeah, then there was the one hilarious one I like to just get for laughs is Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer with like the animated chickens and things. Yeah,
that was actually when the Sledgehammer video came out. That was a really cool turning point for me because at that point I was in Portland animating for Will Vinton, and I'd been there for a while, and I'd kind of hit the ceiling there where I could tell I wasn't going to probably go further. And I saw the Sledgehammer video and the Big Time video that were made off both of those singles of Peter Gabriel's, and I remember it really caught my eye. And those people, the producers of that video, went on to do Pee-wee's Playhouse. Wow. The guy who directed that and the woman Prudence Fenton who produced that.
Yeah, well,
both went to do first season Pee-wee, and then I ended up getting the job on the Penny cartoons.
Oh, that's awesome.
Moved to L.A. and my whole career from then on happened because I kind of followed those people to L.A.
Cool. And the third one that I also like, you probably never have seen this one, is Disturbed did a cover of Land of Confusion, and they did like a whole music video that was just animated, and it was like that was something to behold.
No, I haven't. Send me the link.
Oh yeah, I will do. And it was great to watch. And
we're as far as that goes, we're in such a golden age of. I mean, music videos are great now because that's a perfect format to just make a little 3, 4, 5 minute video, and then it's so easy to basically go on the social networks and stuff and have those you just following links around. It's a great time. You can see so much cool stuff now just on your computer, and if it's short like that, nobody minds taking 3 minutes to watch a song. So it's the best time ever for making music videos.
Yeah. And with that, I think we're done. So I've just maybe looked on the I've got this one of these really stupid subscriptions on Skype where basically if you go on too long, it will about for an hour it'll cut you off. So that's basically what happened on the last episode. Basically, we went up to the subscription, it cut me off, and then I had to recall you again. So yeah.
Okay, good. So we'll bail.
We'll bail, yeah. So I mean, anything else you want to plug before we finish up today?
Not at all. Thanks all of the fans who have wanted us to get Hey Arnold resurrected. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. I really think that there's a kind of a huge movement and like a wave of people wanting it that has really gotten through to Nickelodeon. And thank you for wishing this would happen. And thanks for being patient because, like I say, just the reality of work. I'm always trying to finish a million things, and these things all take time, and you can't even tell how long it'll take. We'll finally have a release date and an air date, and then when that happens, I'll definitely tell. And I won't give up much detail about what's going to happen, just so people can be entertained by seeing what it finally is and being surprised. So there's that to look forward to, and just know that I'm really enjoying keeping. I've kept Hey Arnold alive in my mind all these years, and I've in the age of the social networks, I've resurrected it in my way by just sort of curating all those images that I put up and doing the draw somethings and posting those. And so that's been my way to just kind of keep it in everybody's mind and see if I couldn't get some kind of movement on it. And it really seems to have worked. So thanks everybody for wishing it would be so and looking for it, because I think that's been a big influence.
And we're keeping it alive too, Craig. So
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, it's alive and well, and Arnold and Helga and Gerald and everybody are alive and kicking, and we shall try to get some more adventures out there for people to see.
That's great.
And thanks a million.
Thank you, Craig, for coming on the show. We really do appreciate it. This is the 5th time you've been on the Arun Mehta show, 5th time you spoke to the fans.
Yeah, it's our anniversary.
Absolutely. So, Craig, we'll let you go. Thank you very much for coming on the show. I really do appreciate it. The fans definitely will appreciate it, and good luck with everything that you're doing.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. Talk
Cheers,
to you
mate.
soon.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.